Honestly, I think we've made a lot of progress since the last call. It kind of feels like,
Yeah, yeah. Both Chet and Reg, Ritesh have made an excellent progress.
yeah,
That's what I can. Yeah, that's amazing progress by both of them.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. No.
Like I said, this is emerging as a is
Hmm.
emerging like a enterprise level software, Ritesh. That is what I can envisage. It is no longer a gig. Great work, both of you. Okay, so we have another, say, 13 minutes left in our scheduled call.
So,
Okay, Ritesh, please carry on.
okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks, Rex.
Good boys.
Um,
Bye.
guys, I was also going to say, what I can do is give all of you
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in on time. We will start very soon. Just waiting for others to join in. I hope you have been able to practice whatever we have covered so far. We'll start pretty soon. Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. If you can hear me loud and clear, please type out LNC in the chat box so that we can get all things sorted before others join in. Thank you, Punit, for confirming. Thank you, Ritesh Gupta, for confirming. Let's wait for a few more minutes and we'll get started. Hoping to see more people joining in again. Hello, everyone. Good evening again. Good evening, Manoj. We will be starting in just a couple of minutes, waiting for more people to join in. By the way, for people who are looking for freelancing opportunities or job opportunities, there are a lot of opportunities coming in. Almost every day, couple of business owners or new startup founders, right, are reaching out and asking if they could hire somebody or if they can collaborate to build something, right? I'm just asking them to wait for 1.5 to 2 months, because within that, I know most of you will be ready to get started. So we have a lot of opportunities coming our way. Let's make the best out of it. One more minute and let's get started. Yeah, sure, Manoj. I mean, it will be open for anybody, right? We just want to ensure that we will be connecting with the right people, because we do not want the business owners or the startup founders trust to be broken, right? So we will be filtering out people who have been practicing it, people who have been showcasing what they have been doing, and all of that, so that we know that all of the ones whom we recommend are actually really good at it, right? So, of course, we will be supporting wherever needed. Our involvement will be there, but at the same time, a majority of the things should be taken care by you, right? And so it requires a lot of practice and dedication, and at the same time, sharing, so that we know that we can recommend you. Yeah. So please keep doing that, and opportunities are there. I mean, a lot of opportunities are there. Good. Okay, then let's get started. It's already 7, and I'm not sure what else we can do to get people on time. We have reached out to everybody last couple of days back, and we told them be on time, we'll be doing it. We are entering into the advance phase and stuff like that. But yeah, let's hope that they will join in. So we have understood about workflows, right? So we have seen workflows where the user will click on the button. Okay, they'll click on this group, right? They'll click on this icon. Okay, any of those, and there is some workflow that happens. Now, if we have to run the same workflow from multiple locations, okay, then how do we do that? Okay, let me check if I can give you a very good example for that. Okay, this is already gone outside. Okay, I cannot think of an example, but I'll tell you what I mean, right? let's say you are adding a task, okay, onto the portal. And this task requires multiple steps to happen. Okay, firstly, you have to create a task, you have to assign it to a team member, it has to be linked to a project, and it has to notify the user. So many things needs to happen. Okay. If there are so many things that needs to happen, and if this needs to be called from multiple places, let's assume, okay, we have a button here which allows us to create tasks. I mean, we are on the LinkedIn page, but yeah, just think, right? You have a button here, and you also have a button just above the list of tasks that we have. Okay. In that case, you may have to create the same workflow twice. Correct? Instead of that, what you can do is you can create custom workflows, custom events, basically, right? The way you create it is go to here, okay, and then custom event. Okay, this need not be just wherever there are multiple locations you want to call it from, but it can be used in multiple it can be used for multiple reasons, and I will cover them. So let's name this as add this thing here. Is there anything added here? No. Okay, so let me delete this. Right, so we'll go to this one. We have to give it a name. Let's call it as sample custom event. Okay, this can have parameters. It can also have written values. Okay, so we can create parameters and it can also have written values. Now let's assume that we want to do it for user. This is the drawback of building a social media application, because some of the things is very hard to replicate with social media application. But when we start building with social media application, people will be able to connect better because they have been using it on a day-to-day basis, right? So initially, to begin with, social media apps are good, but as we move towards the complex side of it, it's very hard to explain how certain workflows or certain functionalities happens on social media. Okay, and that's why I'm thinking like, how do we what could be the very good example for this custom thing? Okay, let me go to a new page basically and show you that. So custom event. Okay, and I'll give you a very simple example, right? So this is button 1. This is button 2. Now let's assume that both of this button has similar workflow. And for that, I'm going to create a dummy data. And let's say we have a field called text. Field type is also text. We are basically storing some creating a new record of dummy data and saving in text. Okay, I'm just giving you a concept of custom events as of now. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go to workflows, I'll click on this new, I'll go to custom and create a custom event. Okay, so I can create a custom event here and we can call it as create. And what we are going to do is create a new thing, right? Dummy data. And the text would be, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E. Okay, I have to put it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E. Okay. Now, whenever I click on this particular button, okay, I'm not creating a record from here. But what I'll do is I'll search for custom, and we have something called trigger a custom event, right? And because there is only one custom event that we have created on this particular page, it will automatically be selected. If there are multiple, then you have to select from here. Okay. I'll do the same thing for button 2 also. We will slowly understand why do we have to do it this way. Okay. What is the advantage? All of that will be covered. Don't worry. Okay. So I'm going to preview this now. So basically what we did, we created a new page. We added 2 buttons, right? Button 1 and button 2. Okay. And both of these buttons, okay, is triggering a custom event. Okay. And what is the custom event doing? It's creating a new data record, which is dummy data, and text is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E. Okay. So I'll click on button 1. Let's go to the database. You can see that one record has been created. I'll go to button 2. I'll click on button 2 basically. Second record has also been created. Now you might wonder what is the point of having something like this, right? Now, let's put an input over here and input over here. Okay. Type the text. And this is also type your text. Now closely observe. I'm going to workflows. I'm going to the custom event that we created. I'm going to add a parameter. Okay. And I'm going to call this as input text. Type is text. Okay. I'll click on add. Now we have added a parameter and we can use that parameter over here. So I'm going to remove this from here. I'm going to link this to input text, which is coming as a parameter to this particular custom workflow or custom event. Okay. Now when I'm calling this from here, I want to link this to type the text value, okay, which is basically this one. And the button 2 workflow, right? We will send the text, type your text value. Okay. So what we are doing is we are doing the same thing. Okay. But because we do not want to repeat the same, okay, just understand. Now, if we have to create this dummy data directly over here, that's not a problem, right? We could directly do that. The reason why we are doing it via custom event is, okay, if you have multiple workflows that's running one after the other, and if you want to call it from multiple places, right? You don't want to be doing it in both the flows. You can instead use a custom workflow and call it from there. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to follow so far? If you are able to follow, please type in F in the chat box. Exactly, Aditya. Create one flow and use it at multiple places. Okay. So I'm going to type here ABCD. I'm going to type here 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to click on button 1 and then button 2. Right. Let's go back. Refresh data. You can see ABCD and 1, 2, 3, 4 both have been created. Right. The beauty of this is now if I want to do some other workflow here, okay, let's say I want to add one, just a random thing, right? So I'm going to dummy data. I'm going to create a new field called serial number. Okay, and this would be a number, right? So every time there is a new record being created, okay, I want to add a serial number to this, right? I could ideally do it here, but I'm just showing you here. Okay, change another field and I'm going to do a serial number. And this time I'm going to do a search for, I'm going to search for dummy data. And then I'm going to say count plus 1, right? Any change that I want to do, I can just do it at one place and that will get reflected for both the buttons now. Okay, MNOP, click on this, 9876, click on this. We go back to app data. You can see that this is 6, this is 7. I don't know why this became 6. Should have been 5, right? How much am I doing? Oh yeah, because it was already created here. Sorry, I should not have done +1. Yeah. Okay. So use it at one place, create it at one place and use it from multiple locations. Okay. As and when you get into advanced level of building, you will understand why custom states are so much, what to say, useful, right? Right now, just understand the concept that there is something called custom events and you can create it in one place and you can call it from multiple places. Yeah. Is that clear, everyone? Yeah, you create parameters from here, Manoj, right? So you can create multiple parameters if you want. Okay. And you can also return values from here. Okay. Return value can be anything again, right? So if you want to return, because we are creating a dummy record, if you want to return the value, return the record that we created, we can call it as dummy and we can say this as dummy data. Okay, I can click on add. So the way we would return is search for return and you will get return data, right? And because we have set dummy as the return that we are sending, we can go here and say result of step 1, right? And from wherever we are calling, okay, we can use that return details. So for example, if we want to make any changes into that particular dummy that was created, I can just say result of step 1, right? Result of step 1 is this particular step, okay, and the return that we've got, which is the dummy record that we created. Clear, everyone? Just understand the fundamental of custom events for now. Are we good? Can we proceed further? So you can create custom events without parameter, without return value. You can create custom events with single parameter or multiple parameters. You can create custom events with single return value or multiple return values. Is this clear, everyone? Can we move on to the next functionality? Okay, good. The next functionality is backend workflow. Okay. Now, not everything happens on a front end, right? There are a few things that should happen on server, like a weekly report that we can get, right? We can get a weekly report of how many users have registered on our portal this week. Okay. If you are running a service-based business, okay, as a business owner, you can also get number of bugs that have been reported by clients on your portal. Okay, for this week. Out of those bugs, how many were resolved? How many are still open? Right? All of that as a report can be sent via email to yourself so that you know that these are the things that's happening. Right? It could also be if you are building a app for stocks, right? You would keep making API calls, and then when the stock level goes down or up or whatever it is, you send an email saying, "Hey, stock level has gone down." Right? So that does not require some user to be active on the browser and like click on a button and only then it goes. Right? And that is called backend workflow. Backend workflow basically means that it is running on Bubble server. Okay. There should be one trigger point which needs to happen from front end or database or something like that. But once that is done, it will keep looping within. Okay. So I'll quickly show you how do we create backend workflows and how do we connect that from the front end and what are the advantages, what are the different variations of backend workflow and all of that. Okay. This is very, very crucial, very, very important. So please be active. Okay, listen to what I am demonstrating now. And if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat box. I'll answer them. Okay, just like we have the workflows from here, where you click on a button and then click on add workflow. Because we have already added the workflow, it shows edit workflow. Okay, we can directly go to the backend workflow, which the tab is available here. So click on this one and you click on this plus, right? Just like we had in the workflow. So if you go to workflow also, you can add it from here, right? You can create general workflows. You can create element-based workflows. You can create custom events, right? Likewise, in the backend workflow also. Yes, all the notifications that you get on your email, right? For anything that's happening is generally a backend workflow, right? There is nobody who is clicking on a button and then you are getting it or something like that. Okay. So you can click from, oh, sorry. Yeah. So new event, you can either create it general, which is API workflow, recurring event, or a thing is modified, or a custom event. Okay. Just like we saw custom event in the normal workflows, we can also create custom events in the backend workflow. Okay. So we will go to general and the first thing is API workflow. Right? API workflow. Now endpoint, let's say create user. Or let's say update user. Okay. By default, they would have enabled this and this will be unchecked, but uncheck this one and check this one for now. Okay. You can add parameters over here. I'll go and add, let's say, user, and type of this thing is user. Okay. Now, this is how we have created an event. Now we have to add action. Like, what is that we want to do with this particular thing? Make changes to thing. Okay. Parameter that we have given here is user. So let's say we are going to create a user here. I mean, we are going to make changes to the user. Okay. And we can change anything in the user table. So let's go to user table and let's add some OTP. Then we add text. Okay. We want to generate a OTP for the user, and that should not be generated on the front end because that will be exposed. Okay. So we are just sending the user to the backend and we are generating a OTP. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to select OTP, and here I'm going to search for calculate formula and generate random string. Okay. You can set what is the length of number of characters. So let me put it as 5. You can say whether you want to use letters, whether you want to use non-capital letters, whether you want to use numbers, special characters and all. I'll just use numbers for now. Okay. So this is getting generated. Now from the front end, right, I can go to the admin page and I can generate the OTP from here. Okay. So please understand, there are multiple reasons why we have to use backend workflows. One, you do not want to expose a few things for the users. Okay. I'll give you an example of that as well. Right. So we had custom events. Let's assume that we are generating a OTP for a user on the front end. So we are making a change to a thing and we'll say current user and change is OTP. And this is calculate formula, generate a random string, and this is 5 and we're using the number. I'm going to log in as one of the users. Okay. I will go to step by step. I'll generate OTP. Oh, so they have taken care of this, which is good actually. Okay. This is not running, but there are multiple tools that you can use to actually understand what's happening on the browser. Okay. If you inspect and all, you will understand that, right? And if that happens, then your OTP thing will be already exposed to the user on the front end, which doesn't make sense at all, right? And that's one of the reasons why you want to send the details to backend. Now, we have not yet covered the API section, okay? But when we cover API section, there are keys, secret keys, which you are not supposed to expose to the user, right? And all of those workflows should be running on backend workflow, right? And likewise, if you want to generate report, which we will be covering in a minute, okay, where it should loop itself, then that should be done on a backend workflow. Okay. Right now we will generate this OTP for the users. Okay. And that can also be done from admin page where we have the list of users. Okay. So I'm going to add an icon here. And let's call it as lock. Or do we have OTP? No. Let's make it as lock. And when we click on this particular icon, we want to generate the OTP. So the way we call the backend workflow is schedule API workflow. Okay. So select that. It'll ask you which workflow you want to call. Okay. We have created a update user flow workflow. Select that. Once you select, it will ask you for the parameters that you have created. So if you go back to the backend workflow, right? This one is empty, so I'll delete this. Okay, so we have created one parameter which is called user and type is user, right? So we'll go to workflow. We can see that it is asking us which user do you want to run this workflow for. So parent groups user. Schedule date. When do you want to schedule this? Do you want to schedule it immediately or do you want to schedule it after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, whatever it is? So I'm going to make it as current date and time, which means right now. Okay, ignore privacy rules. So if I log in as admin onto the admin page, then I can run this particular thing for this. Yeah, of course. So backend workflows are available only in the paid plan. Okay, and for that, I'll go to settings. I'll change this to agency plan. Okay, the beauty of agency plan is we can use agency plan and we'll get all the paid features. For those of you who are part of community, please reach out to us and we will enable this for you. Okay. Now, if I go back, I can click on this one. It'll run. I'll click on this one. It'll run. Click on this one, run. It'll click on this one. It'll run, and so on and so forth. Okay. Let's see. We have generated the OTP for 4 users. You can see that it is being generated. Right. So one of the advantages, everything happens on the server. Second advantage is run and so on and so forth. Okay. Yeah. Second advantage is backend workflow is accessible on all the pages. Right. So I can go to, let's say, register. And from here also I can run a backend workflow. Okay. So let's say we have allowed the user to register. Okay. Now we can also call the backend workflow from here. Schedule API workflow, update user flow. User is a result of step 2. No, this is current user. Right. Scheduled the thing is current date and time. So you can call this particular workflow for any page, any reusable element. We have not covered reusable element, but you can call it from anywhere. Backend workflow is common to all across the app. Okay, that's the second advantage. Okay. Now let me show you how we can loop the things. Okay, which is very powerful when it comes to backend workflow. I'm going to new general API workflow. I'll make it as a weekly report. Okay, and we don't need any parameters here because we are generating a weekly report which will send an email to ourselves. Right. So I'm going to say email, send email. Right. You'll ask whom to send. Let's say abcd@rated7.com. And we can say sender name as vacancy 1. Subject is weekly report. Header there where I'll put n for now. N number of registrations on the portal this week. Okay. Because begin portal. Right. I'll go over here and change this from n to the actual number. So do a search for users, right? Created date is greater than or equals to, okay, current date and time. Closely observe, right? Current date and time rounded down to week. Okay, that will take us to this week's Sunday, 12 a.m. right? So anything that has happened, after 12 a.m. on a Sunday night, okay, will be considered here. We can say count. Okay, so this will give us all the registration which has happened after 12 this thing. Let's see if anything has happened on this particular week. Created date. So Feb 19th, one registration we have got. So I think we are good. Okay, we should get one as the result. And what I'll do is I'll schedule the same workflow. Okay, weekly report flow. It's asking us what is the date and time. We will tell current date and time. Okay, plus days 7. So ideally this should have been minus rounded down to week. Instead of this, we can use it as plus days minus 7. Okay, so last 7 days, how much this thing has happened, it will show. And we will schedule this exactly 7 days later. Okay, now this has been set here. Is here? Okay, that should be the last this thing. Going to any particular page should be the last step. That's why it was throwing error. Now we have set the backend workflow, which will send us the weekly report. Now, how do we enable this? How do we start this flow? Right? We have to start it from one of the this thing, front end this thing. So I'll click on I'll add a button like start weekly report. And from here, we can initiate the backend workflow. Again, the way we do that is schedule API workflow and weekly report. Schedule date and time would be scheduled time date is current date and time. Ignore. So because we changed the app to agency plan, okay, when you preview, it'll ask you for a username and password. Now, this username and password is not the one you have used to register on this particular app, or this is not the one which you have used to create your Bubble account or anything. Okay, because you get all the paid features in the agency plan, Bubble does not want you to misuse, okay, and use this particular method to launch your application, and that's why it throws it like this. So if you share this link with anybody, they will also be able to see the same username and password pop up that opens up. And this username and password is coming from this general, okay, where username is added over here and password is added over here. I'm going to change this to UN and this to password. Okay. Now I'm going to use this as UN and this as PW. Click on sign in. This is Bubble's way of ensuring that agencies do not misuse the plan to launch the application, because they know that you do not want to launch the application with this pop-up coming for every user. They'll be annoyed, like, what is this pop-up here, right? And that's why Bubble has done this. I'll click on the start weekly report and I'll show you the email that has come to me. But if we go to logs, if we go to scheduler, and if I click on show, you can see that exactly 1 week from now, okay, Feb 28, 2025, 7:37 p.m. Okay, there is an API call that has been scheduled, and that is weekly report. Right? So exactly 1 week from now, this will be called again, and I don't have to come over to this particular page and click on this button or anything. This will keep repeating every week. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to see how powerful this can get? Hello, hello, hello. Are you able to see how powerful this can get? right? So this is one of the advantages. You can call the same event again and again and again. Okay, you can have your own delays. It could be one week, it could be 1 month, it could be one day, like whatever you want, you can schedule. Okay. Now I'll show you one more thing which can be used for using backend workflow. Okay. So we do not have a roll number added here. So let me add a roll number. Some serial number kind of thing. Right? That's a number. Can anybody guess how do we update this roll number? Wherein the first user who has registered on the portal should get 1, the second user should get 2, third user should get 3, and so on and so forth until like 27 users. How do we update this roll number? Can you please let me guess? How do we do this? Anybody? Custom event is just a place where you can call it multiple times. Right? Backend work custom event is still happening on the front end. So if you have any sensitive information or something like that, then you do not want to be doing it on custom states, custom events, right? You want to make it from backend workflow so that that's happening on server. Plus, you cannot call things by itself. Like there is no option of looping when it comes to workflows, normal workflows. Okay, you have to do it via backend workflow itself if you want to loop one behind the other. Okay, I'll give you another example now. So we want to add the workflow for the user, okay, where the user list is going one after the other. Okay, we'll take the first item, put a roll number to it. We'll go to the next one, put a roll number to it. Take the third one, put a roll number to it, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the way we do that is I'll create one more API workflow and I'll call this as add a roll number. I'll uncheck this, I'll check this. Here, we're going to add users. Type will be user. It will be a list of things. Here, it will not be just one item. It will be the entire list. Okay. Closely observe. It is slightly tricky. Closely observe. So we've got all the list of users in the database onto this particular flow. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make changes to thing. And the thing is users first item. Okay. Because I cannot directly go to fifth item and say that this is roll number 5. Right. I have to know only, like, I can go to the fifth item only if I know that the first item is done, second item is done, third item is done, fourth item is done, and so on and so forth. Okay. So it's in a sequence. So we have to commit in, we have to do it in sequence. So I'm going to do users first item. Okay. I'm going to change users first item, and the thing that I want to change, the field that I want to change is roll number. And I'm going to say this is okay. So I'll also add one more parameter here, that is roll number. Okay, which will be a number. And this is also coming from the front end. So here I'm going to say roll number is this roll number. Closely observe. I am going to schedule workflow, and the scheduled workflow is add roll number. A roll number here will be roll number plus 1. Schedule date is current date and time, and plus seconds 1. So let it run with 1 second delay, one behind the other. Now list of users is users minus item users first item. Okay, I'll explain to you what this means because I know this can be a bit confusing. So we have got list of users. I'll go to Google Sheets. And let's assume this is user list. And this is roll number, right? And here we have user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5. So what we are doing in the function is I'm going to add here 1. I'm doing this just in the function, not in the database. Please keep that in mind. Okay, I've got this list of users in the function. I'll add here 1. Delete this particular row from here. I'll add 2 here. Delete this particular row from here. Again, we are not deleting the data from the database. Okay, we are just removing the data from the function. You can see here, we have sent the users as a list of things, right? So within this function, we are deleting that. So it's not available in the records anymore. Is this clear, everyone? Yeah. Now I'm going to make this as 3. And then delete this, make this as 4. Delete this, make this as 5. How are we knowing that this is 3, 4, 5? Because we are scheduling it from roll number plus 1. So every time we are removing the top item, we are rescheduling it. Okay, with the list of item, roll number plus 1. One thing though we have to do is on the front end, we can have a button which is basically assign roll number, and this will be schedule API workflow. We're going to call add roll number flow. Users will be do a search for all the users, right? Only thing is sorted by created date. Descending is no. Roll number to begin with will be 1. Schedule date will be current date and time. Okay, I'll just go to the backend workflow, and where we have put the seconds as 1, I'll just put this as minutes 1 because I want to show you how it works. I'll go over here, refresh this. I'll keep things ready so that I can show you. Roll number is not added here. Let me go over and add roll number. So you can see that roll number is not added to any of the users now. I'm going over here, clicking on this particular flow, which will basically call the backend workflow. And immediately if we come back and see, roll number will be added here. And let's go back to log schedule. Okay, you can see that there is one API workflow that is going to run the very next time with all the users that we had sent minus the first one. and this time the roll number will be 2. Okay, so this is going to run at 7:49. Right now we are at 7:48. So within 1 minute, we should be able to see that that is also run, and the second roll number is also added to the user, and it will schedule for the third user. Is this clear, everyone? Are you able to understand what we are doing? Let's quickly check this. It's still not 1 minute. Oh yeah, it's already done, right? So now it is scheduled for roll number 3. So if we go to data and refresh this, you see that 2 is also done. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and make this as from minutes to, let's say, seconds. We don't want to wait for minutes. So once 3 is done, it will happen like quick. It's just waiting for 7:50. Few more seconds. So until now, 3 is not yet done, right? But it can happen any time now. Yeah, you can see that it's come to roll number 4. But if you go to data, we can see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 because it's happening in every second now. Right? It stopped at 10 because Bubble has added this particular thing recently. I'll tell you where they've added it. Maybe in the API, yeah. So whenever we are calling the flow one behind the other, like in a loop, okay, it is consuming Bubble server. And a lot of time, developers, when they test this out, right, they would leave it open without any condition. Okay, and we have also done that now, right? We have kept calling this without any condition, which means it will keep calling the flow. Okay. If the users count also, if the user count goes to 0 also, right, this will keep looping. And so what we have to do is user count is greater than 1, only then call, right? So I'm going to settings. I'm going to change this from 10 to 100, right? And now we can call it again, and we'll see that all the details of all the users will be updated. So until now, it is just at 10. Even if you refresh, there is nothing because Bubble has cancelled the flow at 10 depth. It will allow us to call until 10, but I've changed that to 100 now. So if we call this one now, it will update for all the users. It's just taking a few seconds. Yeah, you can see that it's running for the rest of the users. In a couple of more seconds, it will be done for all the users. Yep. There you go. Done for all the 27 users. So did you understand why did it stop at 10 number and it didn't go further? And did you understand how do we use looping for different use cases? Is that clear, everyone? We have few more powerful things to look at. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for a few more functionality when it comes to backend workflows. Can we all get started with the next one? So I'm going to backend workflow. I'm going to create a thing called create user. Okay. Now, I want to show you what does this expose as a public API workflow, right? We were unchecking this until now. And I'll also check this box for now. And here can be email, which is the text. Create an account for someone else. So I've created a parameter called email, which is text. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an account for someone else. And the email will be email here. And return the user if the account already exists. And here I'm going to make return data by API. And instead of, structured data. And here I'm going to make it as unique ID, which will basically be text. And that will be result of step 1's unique ID. Okay, so we are going to return the unique ID of the user whom we are creating. Okay, so all the 3 checkboxes are opened up, checked, so that we can make a call. Okay. Where is this useful? So you might get a lot of questions like, can I make an API call to your application? Right? Can I create an account from third-party application? Right? So on and so forth. So that's where we are going to use this. Okay, I'll not go in depth of this. I just want to show you what this expose as public API key API workflow means, and what is this workflow can be run without authentication, so that you understand it. Okay, so for that, I'm just going to go to Postman. Most often you might not need something like this, but I just want to give you a glimpse of what this is. So I'm going to sign in. So Postman is a platform where you can make API calls and test API calls. Okay, so I'll sign in with Google. I hope I have a signed in with Google before. So we just want to make a test call to this particular flow to see how this works, right? And to understand what is the call that we have to make, I'll go to settings. I'll go to API. I'll copy this particular flow, this particular link. Before you get confused, if you do not understand what I'm doing right now, ignore it. Okay, for most of you, this might not be needed. I'll go to my workspace. I'll click on new, HTTP. I'll change this from get to post. I'll click on this one, slash whatever name we have given in the workflow, right? So the name we have given is create user. And we have to send one parameter. So we go to body. Let's say form data. And that is email, right? It has to match whatever we have given here should be the same. So email. And here is what I'm going to give the email ID. Let's say I'm going to give it as def@rit7.com. Right? I'll click on send. Okay, we've got a response here. Status is success, response unique ID, right? This is what we were sending from the backend. And let's quickly go onto the database and I'll show you the magic. We've got a new account created in our application, which was triggered from some other application altogether. Can you see this? I can add different variables to this now, parameters to this, right? So we have just added email. Let's say we want to add roll number, or rather name, right? So we have name, we have city and all. So let's say I'll add name to this one now. I'm going to add name, I'm going to add city, right? And I'm going to make those changes over here as well. The name, city, name is name parameter, city is city parameter. And I just have to make the same calls from here, right? Name is testing. No, not Pebble. Testing backend flow. Right? And city is, let's say, Google. Sending this, we've got a success. I'll just refresh. Oh, yeah. It updated the same user because the email ID was the same. Right? So if we change this email ID to DF123 and make another call, you can see that a new user has been created. Okay. For those of you who understood this, good. Those of you who have not understood, this is fine, because you are not going to most often you're not going to call something from outside into your application, but you are going to call from within your application to some other application. Okay. So that's about this particular thing. I'll close this. We will come back. Oh, yeah. I had to do one more thing there. I missed it. So this expose as public API key is for that. If you want others to be able to make a call to your application, then this is required. Okay. And then the second one, this workflow can be run without authentication. That is, now you saw that I was able to make this particular call from Postman without any authentication. So if you have the URL of my application and if you know what are the parameters that are required, you could make a call as well. You could create accounts in my this thing. So whatever backend workflow I've created for such purposes can be used by anybody if they know what is the URL, what are the parameters that needs to be called. Okay, think about this. So I've shared my screen. We are on YouTube right now. Okay, so if anybody goes to this particular URL, okay, and extend it with create user and give this parameter, they are actually able to create accounts on my application now. Okay, and that's why I'll disable this. And when I disable this, let me go back to Postman. Sorry about this, because I want to show you how this actually happens. Now, if I try to make the same call, it will not work. I'll show you that as well. I'll go to new HTTP, right? Same thing that we did previously. Post. I put this and then this one, right? We'll go to body, form data, and we were sending email, we were sending name, We are sending city. Let's say email is hji@red7.com. Name is HGI. City is Bangalore. Nothing else changed. Okay, we did the same thing. I'm going to send. You can see what is the response that we are getting. It says unauthorized. It says unauthorized because we have told this flow can be run without authentication is unchecked, which means they need authentication to be able to make this call. And the way we set this up is we go to APIs, generate a new API token. You can call this as backend test. Like you can call this anything that you want. This is only meant for your understanding, right? And then click on this and come over here. Authorization can be bearer token, and this should be bearer. This one. Now click on send. Okay, it's still not working. So let's go to body. And we will send parameter here as authorization. Bearer. Let's see if this works. Call this method. Okay, this is also not working. Headers. Let's try with from here. Yeah. Okay. So we have to add it in headers. So the way we authorize is we give the key as authorization and bearer with this particular key, right? Then it works. So if we go back to the database and if we refresh, yeah, you can see that the account has been created. So if at all you have to give anybody access to your account from the backend, okay, then you have to disable this particular thing. That is, this workflow can be run without authentication. And then you also give them a bearer token so that they'll be able to make call. Yeah. So just so that nobody has access to this, I'm going to delete this and nobody will be able to make call over here, even if they know what is the flow. Is this clear, everyone? Were you able to follow so far? There are a couple of more things that we want to be see. Are you all ready? Yeah, it is compulsory to add bearer, and that's how this authorization happens. Are you all ready for the next thing? There are a couple of more things that I want to show you. Are you ready, or do you think it's already too much for today? Yes, of course, you need to practice a lot. Of course. And that I've been telling from day one, right? And the reason why I'm telling you that you will have to do a lot of practice is because as and when we are going to the next sessions, right, it's getting more and more complex. For those of you who have kept practicing, right, you can see that this is all easy. You are understanding what's happening, right? And for those of you who have not practiced at all, you might be wondering right now, like, what's happening? Yeah. Can we go to the next thing? I want to show you something interesting. Don't worry, this time it will be much easier. Yeah, very simple example. Now let's assume that We want to generate a OTP for everybody. Right? So we generated OTP from the admin page. Right? We went to admin page, we clicked on each of this button. Imagine we have like thousands of users. Will we keep clicking on every user? No, right? We want to generate OTP for everybody. Okay. Or let's say you want to generate a coupon code for everybody so that they can buy something from you at a discounted price. Right? And each of the coupon is unique for themselves. Right? Now, we have already created a flow which is generate OTP flow. This is this thing. We have created the update user flow. Okay, let me just change this to generate OTP so that we easily get it. And the parameter that we need is user here. Okay. If you want to generate OTP for every user in the database, what we can do is create a new, I'm creating new buttons just so that you understand that it is different. And when you actually go to this particular app, right, you will be able to see what I've done so that you can reference it. Generate OTP for all users. Add workflow. Closely observe. We are not going with schedule API workflow, but we are going with schedule API workflows on a list. API workflow here is generate OTP. Okay. Thing, type of thing. Okay. Because we want to run this on user, list of users. We'll select that. List to run on would be do a search for users. Okay. This will be current date and time. Interval can be left empty. We can click on ignore privacy. Okay. While we did the privacy policy couple of days back, okay, we stressed upon something called this user, right? Similarly, here we will use this user. So what this particular workflow does is, I'll just make this as current date and time plus, let's say, plus seconds, 15, or let's say 30. I'll tell you why. Okay, so I'm doing this plus 30. So what this thing does is it will schedule 27 API workflows together because we have 27 users, right? And every time, every workflow will refer to this user. That means each record will be referring to different users. I'll show you this now. Okay, so I'm going to logs. I'm going to this thing. This weekly report, whatever is there, I'm going to cancel. I don't want a weekly report. I'll click on generate OTP for all users. Let's go here and click on show. You can see that there are so many workflows that has got created. Closely observe, each of this is for a different user. Okay, this is the user's unique ID that has been shown here. Yeah. And it is at 8:13 itself because we gave like 30 seconds. So yeah, 30 seconds. So it is getting this thing. So if I click on show again, it's all gone and it has already run. So let's go back to the database and we can see that OTP has been generated for all the users. So whenever you want to generate something in bulk, right, you can do this. Okay. I'll show you one more method of running bulk. Can I delete this? Cannot delete. Okay. Let me run the same thing to just remove the OTP for now, because I want to show you one more method of bulk operation, right? So from here we are calling this, and seconds I'll just give 1. So we're going to clear the OTPs that we have generated. So you can see that OTPs has been cleared. Yeah, OTPs has been cleared from here. I'll show you one more method of bulk operation. Okay. So one more method is directly, like, you don't have to go to the front end and add a button, and then from there you have to make a schedule API workflow for a list of things, but directly go to data. Okay. You should be in the same data that is the parameter for this particular workflow that you want to run. So generate OTP flow has user as a parameter. Okay. It should be only one parameter, and that should be the data type you have to be in, right? The type of data here is user, and I'll go to data. I am in the user data table. I'll click on bulk, and you'll be able to see the workflows that you can run from here, right? So I'll select that one. I'll click on run workflows. It will run for all. The OTP will be generated now. Oh, sorry. I had removed it. I mean, I had made it as blank. Forgot to change it again. So we'll have to do calculate formula, random string. This can be 4 this time. Use numbers and let's say character letters. Going to data again. You can run it for selected few also. So I'll select this 3. I can say selected 3, generate OTP flow, run work. So it has generated for 3 users, right? If you want to run it for all, click on bulk, whole current view, generate OTP flow, run work. It will generate for all the users now. Clear, everyone? Any questions from anybody? Do you see how powerful this backend workflows are? Do you have any questions? Happy to take them. Feel free to put up your questions in the chat box. Or if anybody wants, please let me know. I'll open the Zoom and you can share your screen and ask the questions. So that's all we had for today. Okay, with regards to knowledge sharing, we covered custom events and we covered backend workflows. Within backend workflows, we covered so many different types of it. Right? So I hope this was a valuable session as well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask it. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Backend workflow becomes your core function for building any application. So do practice it. And for those of you who are a part of our community, you will get access to the agency plan because you're working with us closely. And you can use backend workflow. Anything else? Any questions from anybody? So can you all put in the chat box what could be a couple of examples of backend workflows that you can think of? Come on, tell me. Come on, come on, come on. Scheduling payment. Yeah, scheduling payment could be one. Scheduling payment reminders, right? Sending bulk email. Yeah. What else? What else could be good example of using backend workflows? Sending reminders. Yes. That's a valid one as well. What else? Stock price alert notification. Yes, that's a good one, Pritesh. What else? What else? What else? Come on. Anything else that you can think of? Password reset email generally have like password reset can be done from backend workflow, but the request is generally happening from a user telling that they forgot the password, right? And you can send the password reset email even from the front end. That's not a big deal. Yeah. Updating data, but what kind of data? EMI bill payment, monthly EMI bill payment. Yes, that's a very good one, right? If you have subscribed to any YouTube channel, and if you have mentioned that, like if you have subscribed to them, right? Whenever they go live or whenever they put a new video, you get a notification. How is that happening? That's happening from a backend workflow, right? Whenever there is an update in the software, let's say for example, you have an iPhone or Samsung or whatever it is, there is an update in the software. Everybody gets a notification, right? There is a new update, please install. How is that happening? Bulk operations, right? Cool. I hope you have got a glimpse of what backend workflow is, how do we use it, and how powerful it can be. Right. So if you have any questions, please do put it in the chat box. And if anybody wants to join on Zoom to share their screen and ask question, feel free to let me know. I'll join Zoom as well. If nobody has any questions, then we can wind up. Spotify new music added from saved artists. Yeah, yeah. You get notifications. Any questions, anybody? Okay. No questions. Wait for a minute more and then we can wind up if there are no questions at all. But please do practice because we are moving towards moderately complex things. So you have to practice these things so that you can get a hang of it and be able to build something out of it, right? And also at the beginning, I was informing this. There are a lot of business owners, there are a lot of agencies who are looking to hire people, and they were asking me. I told them to wait for 1.5, 2 month, 2 more months, right? Where we will be finishing this cohort and everybody will be like fully ready to take this further. And they are excited for that, right? So please do practice, please do keep sharing it so that we know that you have learned the skills that are required for agencies to hire you. Business owners who are looking to build their platform can hire you, right? Either on a freelancing basis or full-time basis or whatever it is. So please do practice. There are a lot of opportunities coming our way. Let's take this from both our hands, right? So Ritesh has a question. Are you going to create any app during this cohort or only learning? So we actually built a clone of LinkedIn, Ritesh. So I'm not sure if you were a part of the initial few days, but we have actually cloned LinkedIn. I mean, not entirely, right? So you can see that we have created a clone of LinkedIn where we can create the post, you can add the image, you can like a post, you can add comments, or reposting. So all of that we actually covered. So please go and watch the videos that we have done until today, right? You will get to see all these beautiful things that we have created in the last 6-7 sessions. I hope this helps. Any other questions from anybody? By the way, Ritesh, was that your question or did you have anything else in mind? Okay, cool. Any other questions, anybody? Okay, then if there are no more questions, then we can wind up. Thank you all for joining in and staying until the end. I hope it was a valuable session. Please share your feedback in the WhatsApp community. If it was valuable, if the speed was right, and if we are going in a smooth way, so that you all can follow. I understand that most of you are not from a technical background, so I'm going very, very slow and giving you enough examples so that you can relate to it, you can understand it, right? But ultimately, you will be able to build something only if you practice. So take an idea and start building. And also, if you do not have any ideas, please reach out to me. I've got enough ideas that you can work on, right? And that will be a good exercise as well. So you can start building your front end, you can start building the data structure and all of that. Yeah. So thank you everyone once again and have a nice evening. We'll see you next week. Of course, we have a bubble roundtable tomorrow, which is happening at 7 p.m. IST. So if you have any questions or even otherwise, please join it so that you can learn from others' questions as well. Thank you again. Have a nice evening. See you soon. Nice. So if you have any questions,